Hello, everyone, or global warming. Uh, uh, Believe you me, I've tried to make this video a dozen times, but the world just isn't allowing me to do it. But firstly, one has to comment on of course, on happenings in the world a little bit. And I guess the most shocking thing, and I only learned about this last week, I'm pretty sure it's much older, but is this case of writer Kaur Kender in Estonia. I mean, he's been prosecuted, he's been charged with child pornography for a fictional short story. A writer, fictional short story. I understand he's been some sort of a thorn in the flesh of the establishment, and now suddenly he's been taken to court for child pornography for a work of fiction, and the accuser is not known, and the accuser's identity is not disclosed for something like next 75 years. Again, if was some other country, probably wouldn't be so shocking. But in the same way, like, in Israel, they should know, they Israelis should not be building walls. They should know better. In the same way, Estonia should not be having fake, show trials. Estonians should know better. This rather shocked me. Again, if this can happen, what else can happen in the world? Well, I mean, the U.S. deciding to renovate its nuclear arsenal with a obscene amount of money, if I understood correctly. I mean, when all nuclear weapons should be very slowly should be fading away because they're a daily threat. We'll go figure. In Switzerland, in a referendum, and it's very interesting to my rant today. It's connected in a way, because Switzerland pretty much it's the most best working democracy in the world. In Switzerland, in a national referendum, they've turned down a citizens' pay, a basic income of an automatic income for all citizens of 2,300 euros. I don't know why. I wouldn't have. I can't even remember what the official name for it is. Citizens pay. I can't remember. I've commented on it when they're trying it out in Canada, and I mean there's a trial going on in Finland. I understand, but I mean again, for example, the Finnish sum, which is 550 euros, of course, doesn't. It's under social security. I mean, it's ludicrous. You can't live on that. So 2,300 sounds pretty good. I don't know why they turned it down, but they have. But it is interesting. One should probably learn more why they turned it down. But I've always thought that perhaps citizen pay might be one way to combat this incredible neoliberalist, these times that we live in, where everything is given to giant corporations and a small number of billionaires. I mean, perhaps a good way, to counter that would be that at least all the ordinary citizens that, from whom everything is taken away and given to a small number of billionaires, that at least these ordinary citizens would have their citizens pay. I don't know, but it was interesting. Then one has to comment the latest, the biggest video doing rounds. Last week was, of course, the poor gorilla who got shot at a Cincinnati zoo. And I, of course, have to, give my own comment on it, which is very simply, of course, the fact that, if you don't have a zoo, as you should not have zoos, without a question you should have, if you don't have zoos, no children can, fall into any cages, and you don't have to shoot other living creatures, problem solved. And truly, one has to think. It's very interesting, if gorillas could somehow communicate with humans, what their UN representative would say. First you hunt us into extinction, near extinction, you destroy our habitat, our homes, then you lock the few us left into concentration camps, and then when one of your youngin drops into one of our concentration camp cells, you shoot us. Again, I do not think we have a future. That's personal opinion. And then, very shortly, of course, to the MSNBC in the United States, because it was the channel that I too watched when I watched U.S. official media, and they've rolled out a new silly tactic and an incredible ad, and I of course have to answer them, when they say that now people may start accusing us of leaning too far to the right. I have to answer that, dear MSNBC, I always have. But now to my main rant, which is about socialism, and that's saying it broadly because it's about everything else as well. But the reason why I now want to rant about that, and I have to make another rant soon, but why I firstly want to rant about it, because it started to irk me, because again now this time when reporting came from Venezuela, and again my heart goes out to all Venezuelans for what you're going through. I'm so sorry. I don't know. My heart goes out to all Syrians for what they're going through. Everybody all around the world. I'm so sorry. I'm so terribly sorry. But when the reporting came out of Venezuela, most of the time when somebody was like commenting like a private person or semi-journalist and so on, and they were giving the lowdown what's going on. Again, it was so, I would say, right-wing tinted. It was like, you take Hugo Chavez or Nicolas Maduro and their party and their government, and you call them socialists. You can call anybody socialist or anything socialist. It depends on what they do, how socialistic they are. But again, all these authoritarian measures that were taken, and ridiculous, quite dictatorial and authoritarian things that were done, and suddenly that's socialism. But we're taken, and given, all these simple things that destroyed Venezuela and its economy, and then said, that these socialists did this socialist thing, and it caused this. Complete crap. It had nothing to do, again, socialism is a very, firstly, it's everywhere, and it needs to be everywhere. It's a good idea, and that's the main point. You all love socialism. If you don't know it, you just don't know it. But anything, public education, public health care, pensions, social security, that's socialism, and it's not meant to be taken to any sort of extremes. And it's absolutely ridiculous to say that a socialist is a communist, that a communist is a socialist. It has nothing to do with it. It's like, it is exactly like, at the moment, we are supposed to have Western democracies, and pretty much, again, outside Switzerland, we either have oligarchies, or we have civil service dictatorships. That has nothing to do with democracy. It's very nice that the US, for example, tries to call itself a democracy. It's not. It's an oligarchy. And actually, it was not even established originally. Those founding fathers, actually, they didn't try to establish a true democracy, a Swiss kind of democracy. Very interesting. But they call themselves a democracy, even though they are not. We have it everywhere. Again, you have something that is supposedly communistic, and it's called socialist. It's not. We're all socialists in some way. You need something of everything. You need well, again, actually at the moment, since democracy isn't working outside Switzerland, the jury is out. Is that the best system? We could establish, we have history that establishes that, that hereditary monarchy is not a good system. You've never had a working communistic system. Okay, firstly, of course, the Soviet Union or China, that nothing to do with communism. Bolshevism, Leninism, Stalinism. That's why they have names. They're not communism. Maoism is not communism. And you can certainly say that Stalinism, for anyone else except Joseph Stalin, did not work. But again, I don't know how close Cuba is to actual communism. But again, since before now, it has never been given a chance. The outside pressure from certain big brother has been so huge that it could not have, if that is a true communism, it could not have worked because it's been not given the chance. Whether, something like Leninism was born because communism was not given chance, I don't know. But anyway, it would seem that communism doesn't work. Whether democracy works, we don't yet know. But it's the best thing that we have at the moment. Democracy, like in Switzerland, probably can work. So you can have as much democracy as you can, and as real a democracy as you can, which most of us don't have, real democracy. And then, you have some socialism. Again, something like, public education, pensions, you have socialism. And socialism is good, and it is not, most importantly, in no way is socialism somehow dictatorship. They are two different things. Dictatorship, by definition, is extremely unsocial. It's very unsocial to everyone else. So it's not a dictatorship. It's not a blooming socialism. It has nothing to do with it. And it's never, and nobody has ever claimed it to be. I mean, nobody has ever said that Stalinism was socialism. No. And again, even communism, that doesn't work. It's just a derivative from socialism. Marxism is a derivative from socialism. It does not make socialism itself somehow bad, in no way, any more than, well, it's my opinion that oligarchy is absolutely, unstandable. It's one of the most awful things ever. But probably, older days, hereditary monarchies, probably your peasants would have disagreed. But I wouldn't dream of saying that democracy is somehow criminal because oligarchy is so awful. Again, I mean, this makes no sense whatsoever. And well, basically, this was why I needed to do this rant, because I'm so completely and utterly fed up with people taking authoritarianism, sometimes even National Socialism, and calling that socialism, taking actions that are totally unsocial and blaming it on socialism and socialists. It's just, well, let's say, for example, over here, I ain't buying it. It isn't, doesn't go through. No. Socialism is it's a small idea, small part of what we should have, and it's a good thing, and it has nothing to do with authoritarian measures and failed authoritarians, and don't try and tell me that